folks, it's Carrie from Pretty Neat. Thanks for joining me. If you're new here to my channel, welcome. I share videos here every week about organizing and decluttering your home and adopting a minimalist mindset. So I hope you'll hit the subscribe button and stick around. Today, I want to talk about something that can really impact our purchasing habits, and I think can also impact the type of stuff that we hang on to, and that is the idea of the fictional self. So a fictional self is kind of a version of ourselves that we have in our brain, and that person doesn't really exist in real life. It's kind of someone that we aspire to be, but it's not necessarily realistic. So this is about having this expectation for yourself, thinking that you should be a certain type of person or a person who does these certain activities. And in reality, that's just not you. We all go through these different seasons in life, and at certain points in our life, we just simply have more energy or time to devote to certain things than we do to others. And if you are in a season of life where you are really busy, maybe you're raising a family or you have to manage a large household, maybe you have a very demanding career, all of these things are going to stand in the way of doing some of the things that you would ideally like to be doing, but it just isn't practical for you right now. So how does the fictional self impact our life, impact the things that we buy, the things that we hang on to? Well, I think when we have this unrealistic version of ourselves floating around in our head, we make some of our decisions regarding our stuff based on that person, based on our fictional self, and not based on our actual self. So I'll give you an example from my life. I like to do paper crafting. I have done different versions of scrapbooking. I'm into paper planning, all of that. A couple of years ago, I decided I was going to make all of my own greeting cards. I like doing paper crafting, so this seemed like a cool thing to do. I purchased a lot of crafting supplies around this idea of making my own greeting cards. What I found was that whenever someone's birthday rolled around or a holiday rolled around, I would forget to make cards ahead of time, and I would just end up grabbing cards last minute at the store. I eventually realized that this person who makes her own greeting cards, that was part of my fictional self. That was a fictional version of Carrie that I wanted to be, but just wasn't happening for me. I just wasn't planning ahead for those types of events. I could then get rid of some of these card making supplies that I had bought, and I could just stop buying them as well, because realistically, it just wasn't going to happen. I think your fictional self can also be a version of you from the past. And I spoke in a recent video about how I used to be a musician, and I stopped playing because basically my life just got really busy and my priorities shifted. And it was so hard for me to part with that instrument because I still had it in my head that that was me, that I was that person that was going to make the time to play this instrument, and it just wasn't happening. It was hard for me to accept that that was a fictional version of me and it was no longer the real version of myself. But I eventually did that, and I was able to part with that instrument after a really long time, like almost 2 decades. So my point here is that this is something we all do. I'm a professional organizer for my job, but I still struggle with some of these ideas of having this fictional person that I kind of aspire to be, but it just isn't me. And so if this is the case for you, if there are things that either you continue to buy or things that you are hanging on to in your home because of your fictional self, know that you are not alone. This is extremely common, and you don't have to feel bad about it, but you can work on improving this. So what are some techniques we can use to try to let go of the fictional self and accept ourselves as we are? I think that one thing is just trying to get in the habit of doing self-reflection, however that works for you. If it's through meditation or through journaling, I get a lot of value out of journaling and just kind of working through some of these issues about what your expectations are, where they come from. Is it something that you learned when you were growing up that, if you have a house, you should own all of these things? Is it some messaging that you've gotten from advertising that you think that these things are important or that you should be a certain kind of person? Another way that we can try to let go a bit of our fictional selves is to become aware of what we're exposing ourselves to that maybe adds to those feelings. So I think that advertising and social media are two huge sources of these unrealistic expectations that we have for ourselves. First of all, being aware of that messaging that we're getting when we're online or we're watching shows. And then also trying to reduce our exposure, I think can be really helpful as well. As I said, I'm a paper crafter, and so I like to be in these paper crafting groups, mostly on Facebook, where people are sharing ideas and sharing some of their creativity. And that's really fun for me. However, many of those groups also just become a frenzy about buying things, especially when new products come out. It's really easy to get caught up in the hype. If you do any type of hobby, maybe you can relate to this. When new products are released, usually in these hobby groups, people get really excited about it. They run out and buy it. Then they're sharing their hauls and showing the world all the stuff that they bought, and they're excited about it. And it's really easy to get roped into that and to start thinking like, well, I didn't even consider buying this before, but now that I've seen this person, how they're using it, how excited they are about it, it's something that I really have to have. At times when I feel like maybe I've been more tempted to buy things, I will mute or hide those groups from my feed for periods of time, just because I know that it's gonna really be tempting for me if I'm seeing those types of posts over and over and over again. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying that we shouldn't aspire to be better people or that we shouldn't ever change our interests or try something new. All of that stuff is super important. But what I'm trying to get at is that we need to have some level of acceptance about ourselves and also about our lives. So if a particular activity or hobby doesn't fit in, either it doesn't fit our personality or it just doesn't fit in the season of life that we're in, I think it's important to accept that about ourselves, accept that about our lives, and to surround ourselves with the stuff that really does support us for whatever place we are right now. Oftentimes when I'm working with people, particularly helping them organize their closets, we will come across clothing that is a smaller size. And I think we've all done this where we gain a few pounds, but we hang on to the clothes that used to fit us with this idea that we're going to wear them again. I say, try to work on accepting yourself at the size that you are now. And then if you do lose that weight, I think that would be a great reason to buy some new things. And you're not going to want to wear clothes that you wore 10 years ago. I don't think the stuff in our homes should make us feel bad. And personally, hanging on to clothes that don't fit me anymore, that's just a reminder that I don't want to have in my life. So does this idea of a fictional self resonate with you at all? Are there things that you're hanging on to, or are there things that you are tempted to buy regularly because of some version of yourself that doesn't really match up with reality? I would love for you to share that with me down in the comments below. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. It really helps out my channel. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications. I share videos here every week about organizing and decluttering your home and adopting a minimalist mindset. Talk to you soon.